campaign. And Sarah, the votes are coming in. It is neck and neck in North Carolina, neck and neck in Florida. What are you hearing from the campaign?
Well, Jake, as you know, Florida is, of course, always a source of heartburn. But for the Trump campaign, their particular angst is not knowing how these independent voters are going to shake out tonight. If they're going to lean in favor of Donald Trump, if they're going to lean in favor of Hillary Clinton. Now, I've talked to multiple sources who say they really don't have any information about these independent voters. It's been a struggle to get the kind of resources they need in Florida, to get the kind of money that they would need to be able to model this independent electorate. And so even though Donald Trump himself has been personally interested in which way these independent voters are leaning, they're saying they just don't have any way to tell him. They're just waiting to see the results, just like we are. So flying a little bit blind tonight at one of their most important states, Jake.
Interesting. Let's go down to Jeff Zeleny, just a few blocks away at campaign headquarters. And Jeff, the Clinton campaign knows that they need Florida. They have been saying for quite some time that they feel better about Florida than they do about states such as North Carolina, states such as Ohio or Iowa. What are you hearing from the Clinton team?
Jake, the number is 29. That is one of the favorite numbers, the most important numbers inside that Clinton war room here at the Javits Center. And the Clinton campaign is increasingly confident about Florida, the numbers that are coming in and also what they've been seeing on the ground throughout the day. They point to some specific counties across the state. Orange County, Osceola County, Hillsborough County. They believe that they're outperforming Obama numbers. Of course, he won the state narrowly. Also, Duval County. They say Donald Trump is not doing as well as Mitt Romney. This is the view of the Clinton campaign here. But Jake, the reason that Hillary Clinton visited Broward County, a key Democratic area, 3 times in 1 week, was to drive up that Democratic vote. They believe they've done it. But one senior Clinton advisor I just talked to said the Hispanic numbers are rising through the roof. That's why we'll win Florida. Jake?
All right, we'll see what actually happens. Let's go to Wolf Blitzer right now, who has a key race alert.
We do have a key race alert. Clinton has now taken the lead in Florida and North Carolina.
Yes!
Florida for 72% of the vote in. That's a big chunk of the vote. Hillary Clinton.
Oh my God, yes!
Almost 170
oh my God, yes.
votes over Donald Trump. 49.9%, 47.3%, 29 electoral votes. All the polling in Florida closes at the top of the hour. 72% is in. She's got 171,000 lead right now over Donald Trump. And look at this. In North Carolina, 28% of the vote is in. She is ahead by 21, almost 22,000 votes over Donald Trump right now. 49.7% to 48%. Donald Trump slightly behind Hillary Clinton in North Carolina. He's also behind in Florida. Let's go over to John King at the Magic Wall. You're looking at North Carolina and Florida right now.
I think we're going to spend a long time with that tonight. North Carolina, Florida, North Carolina. Other states matter too, but especially when you're looking at does Donald Trump have a path, a comeback path to 270 electoral votes? Florida and North Carolina factor huge. It's almost impossible to get there without Florida. You can have a variation without North Carolina, but it's a little bit pie in the sky. So let's look at Florida. 49.8 to 47.4. Significantly, the votes come in pretty quick. 72%. We'll see how quickly it comes in from here. But when you look at this map, Wolf, not to sound like repetitive, but this looks a lot like the 2012 map so far. And Hillary Clinton has to be very happy with the margin she's running up down here in the big Democratic strongholds. Palm Beach County, move down. Broward County, she's just shy of 70% there. Miami-Dade County, 64% there. She has to be very happy with these. The question is, what are as the vote totals come in, do they match up to what she needs to offset? Donald Trump is doing what the Republican needs to do, especially areas like this. You pull up Collier County, this is where Naples is. He's running at 61%. Let's go back in time just for a check. 65%, so a little bit under Romney there. We still don't have a lot of the votes here, though. We'll keep an eye on these things as we go through. When you come up here, Jeff Zeleny was just talking about the Clinton campaign. These are the swing counties across here that they're looking at. What's their margin in the Tampa area? That's Hillsborough County. You see it 10 points right there. You go back in time, 7 points there. So she's overperforming the president there. This one has been closer. Let's see if it stayed that way. This one has been closer, where you have essentially 2 points there. When you look at it, maybe 3. If you look at it, that one a little bit.
Look at that. Let's look at North Carolina, John, right now. Because all of a sudden in North Carolina, you go to she's ahead. Look at this. She's ahead in North Carolina by a little bit more than 100,000 votes, with 36% of the vote in.
36% of the vote. But one of the things you have to watch, especially when the lead swings, where does those votes come from, right? So what came in? Mecklenburg County. This is Charlotte. And she's winning huge here. This is why she jumped. When you got a big dump of votes from the Charlotte area, which is a Democratic stronghold, that's why her total jumped. But you watch where the votes come in. Not saying that's insignificant. This is what she needs to do. So just shy of 67% there. Go back in time. The president was at 61% here, and he lost. Remember, he narrowly lost North Carolina 4 years ago. So if you're the Clinton campaign, you love that number, and you hope that number stays up. This is going to go up. This is a small percentage of the vote still in one of the largest counties of the state. Now we have our first votes in Wake County. This was empty just a few minutes ago, and again, 25% of the vote in. This is of enormous consequence to Secretary Clinton tonight, in the sense that if she wins this county by that margin, she will win the state of North Carolina. Now we're only at 25% of the vote. The reason I say that, if you look at that margin there, 20 plus points, you go back to 2012, the president won it by 11, and he lost the state. Go back to 2008, won it by 15. This is almost 10% of the state population. It's an incredibly important area for the Democrats. As we noted earlier, they left the polls open a little bit longer in Durham County. We still have nothing from Durham County, and this is a big basket of Democrats.
Let's go to Ohio quickly, John, because all of a sudden we're getting some significant numbers coming in from Ohio, and Hillary Clinton is in the lead right now. You see she's got 53% to his 43%. 12% of the vote in Ohio is now.
Only 12%. If this holds up, it's game over. Republicans don't win the White House without winning the state of Ohio. But again, you always ask the question, where did the votes come from? And they're coming, Jeff Zeleny just mentioned this a moment ago, they're coming from Franklin County, Columbus. This is a Democratic county. That's a big, healthy margin for Secretary Clinton. That's what you want to do here. Let's again go back in time. 61% for the president 4 years ago when he won Ohio. A lot of the conversation here this year has been even the Clinton campaign conceding in the final weeks that Ohio is one of the toughest for them to hold. They don't count on it in their map. They would love it, but they don't count on it. So now as we're watching what's happening here, one of the things you're going to watch is in the Youngstown area here, this is where Donald Trump has tried to sell, hey, the factory's closed. Hey, I'll rip up NAFTA, my trade message. The Youngstown area like this, she's getting at the moment. It's not a big percentage of the vote in yet, but she's getting 59%. Let's go back and check. So she's running a little bit below the president there. So Wolf, we got a ways to go in Ohio as we watch it fill in. At the moment, the Clinton campaign's happy with one seat. We also have nothing yet, absolutely nothing out of Cleveland, so we'll be counting for a while in Ohio and elsewhere.
You certainly will, and we're getting ready for 16 states. 16 states and the District of Columbia. They're going to be closing all
I'm being a ridiculous son of a bitch right now.
Top of the hour,
I don't know why I'm being a ridiculous son of a bitch. I just know that I'm being a ridiculous son of a bitch.
That is
Oh, shit. Wow.
Pennsylvania closing right now.
Alright, so Clinton has taken Florida. Well, what? Oh shit, that's insane. It is insane, isn't it? Of course it is.
A win for Hillary Clinton in New Jersey. Governor Chris Christie is the governor. But guess what? Hillary Clinton is the winner in New Jersey with 14 electoral votes. Hillary Clinton.
Two people were like, hey,
Massachusetts, another 11 electoral votes.
It's alright. 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 It's alright.
In Massachusetts, let's move on to Maryland. 10 electoral votes. We project Hillary Clinton wins in Maryland. She will carry that state. An important win for Hillary Clinton in the state of Maryland. More wins for Hillary Clinton coming in right now in Rhode Island. Rhode Island, 4 electoral votes. Hillary Clinton carries the state of Rhode Island with its 4 electoral votes. Delaware, 3 electoral votes.
Let's turn this way.
That's it.
Right, I need to.
The District of Columbia, which could vote in presidential contest, 3 electoral votes go to Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Donald Trump also has some projected wins.
Projected wins, of course, projected wins. Why? Okay, we need to do some things.
With 11 electoral votes. Donald Trump will also carry Mississippi with 6 electoral votes. We have a key race alert right now.
No, I don't want Bluetooth on, you son of a bitch.
Too close to call, too early to call, I should say. In Florida right now, we cannot yet make a projection. 29 electoral votes at state. Too early to call in Florida. Too early to call in Pennsylvania with 20 electoral votes. Cannot make a projection in Pennsylvania. Also in New Hampshire, no projection there. Too early to call in New Hampshire right there. Too early to call in New Hampshire. We can too early to call in those states. Let's get the complete list of all the states where we are not yet able to make a projection. Take a look. All these states too early to call.
Let's rotate.
The APM closings in Alabama, Connecticut, Florida, Maine, Missouri, New Hampshire, Pennsylvania. No projections there. Too early to call. Take a look at the electoral map where it stands right now. Hillary Clinton has taken the lead. She has 68 electoral votes compared to Donald Trump's 48 electoral votes. You see 270 are needed to win the White House. The blue states we've projected go to Hillary Clinton. The red states go to
I don't even know why the chat's
states,
not popping up, so sorry about that.
Too early to call. No projection in those states right now. That's where it stands. the electoral map right now. But Jake, these states
there aren't any
like
viewers,
Florida
or maybe there
and
are
North Carolina
viewers.
and Pennsylvania
Because
and
apparently
Ohio,
no one's
they will
really.
decide presumably what's going
Like,
on.
hell yeah, I voted. I went for.
we still haven't heard anything out of Pennsylvania and North Carolina. As
I know I'm not going to look up anyone's fucking mixtape.
They were telling Jeff Zeleny that when it comes to North Carolina, let me circle it here on the board. North Carolina, that they think it's going to go down to the wire, and that it could be they might not even have it called all night. And then, of course, we're looking at Florida, and that could be a race that's decided by 1 or 2 percentage points. And as we've been saying all night, the Trump campaign says, and the Republican National Committee says, there's really no path to the presidency for Donald Trump without the state of Florida, and that's why Clinton and Trump have been spending so many days, so many millions of dollars in that state. One of the things that's most important, and John has been talking about this quite a bit, is not just southern Florida, which tends to be Democratic, especially in the southeast, or northern Florida, the Panhandle, which tends to be Republican, but that I-4 corridor in the center of the state, where there are so many college-educated voters. How are they going to vote? The trend has been for college-educated white women to go and support Hillary Clinton, at least in early polls.
Anna, you spent a lot of time in Florida over these past days.
Yeah, and I just want to echo one thing that Jake was talking about with regard to how close Florida is always historically, and what Republicans think is a path. I was just talking to a Republican source who says that at this point, the way that they're seeing the modeling, it looks like Donald Trump is more likely than not to lose by a couple of points in Florida. That's what they're seeing. They could always be surprised. They don't have all the votes in, but that is the expectation from a Republican source that I'm talking to. And to your point earlier, Marco Rubio, who's running for re-election in Florida, is outperforming Donald Trump big time in pockets of the state, but particularly in his home area.
Oh, hell yeah.
But it's very important, Dana just said, there's modeling, there's polling, and then there's the voting.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's the science, and there's the methodology, and then there's what people actually do. So even
though, the do is what's happening as we speak.
And even though there are Democrats saying we think we're going to win Florida, and Republicans saying we think they might win Florida, at the end of the day, nobody knows what's going to happen until the voters actually do it.
We have an update on the voting, the all-important voting in those states right now. All right, let's take a look at Florida first. You see Hillary Clinton. She has an almost 80,000 vote lead over Donald Trump with 77% of the vote in 29 electoral votes at stake. Still close. 49.1% for Hillary Clinton, 48% for Donald Trump, but she has the lead. She also has the lead with almost half of the vote in North Carolina, 185,000 plus a vote lead over Donald Trump, 52.8% for Hillary Clinton, 44.8% for Donald Trump, 172,000 vote lead. Now just changed, 15 electoral votes at stake in North Carolina. In Ohio, a quarter of the vote is now in. Hillary Clinton is ahead in Ohio as well, 137,000 vote lead over Donald Trump, 53.3% to 43.2%. 26% of the vote is now in, just changed. Her lead has gone up to 153,000, 18 electoral votes at stake in Ohio. Let's go over to John King at the Magic Wall. These 3 states will make a major decision. Who's going to be the next president of the United States? Let's start with Florida.
Almost 80% of the vote came in Florida, Wolf, and it's very, very close, 48.9 to 48.2.
It's only 50,000 votes now. It's just shrunk a bit.
It's just shrunk a bit as you're starting to fill the map in. And again, when you fill the map in up here, you can expect Donald Trump to make up ground. The challenge for Donald Trump is a lot of these smaller counties, when you look at them, you know, you're not much in that county there. I'm trying to go over and see we have a percentage, 92% of the vote in here, and you see it's not that many votes, so 6,000 gap there. That's one of the things we're going to watch as we get closer to 100% of the vote in, is what's missing. And it's the smaller counties, there's only so much map you can make up. But let's look at the state as we go through it right now. This is going down to the wire and a nail biter. Osceola County, it's only 1.4% of the state population, but it's in that important I-4 corridor. Jake was just talking about, Jeff Zeleny mentioned earlier, the Clinton people, in the age of big data, you know what you need. You know how many registered voters are. You have an expectation of turnout, and you run these computer models, and you run your list, and you turn out your voters. And if you get to a number where you're happy, you see 63% there. Let's go back in time, 62%. If you're the Clinton campaign, if you're outperforming President Obama, you think that's enough. Now, Donald Trump is a very unorthodox candidate. Is he going to drive up turnout in these Republican areas? Is the counterbalance to that. But if you're the Clinton campaign, you want to get your Democrats out. And in most of the places, they are doing that. 53% for the president there 4 years ago. 53.3% for Secretary Clinton. Now, this is a bit of a down for Secretary Clinton, and this is a swing area. This is Pinellas County where St. Pete is, 49.8, so just shy of 50. for Secretary Clinton. The president did a little bit better here. So you find some areas where she's overperforming, some areas where she's underperforming, and then you start to watch and you pull out here right now, let's come back to this year's race, and you're looking not only for what's missing, we have no votes at all up here. This is very conservative territory. Donald Trump's going to run up some numbers here. But then you want to come down here and say, we still don't have percentages here, so this tells us what we have is the early vote. And most of what we have, if not all of what we have here, is the early vote. We haven't, from the precincts, we're not getting percentage reporting yet. And that's a big factor in the sense that what this tells us, we don't know how many, because early voting has become so important, but it tells us there are more votes down here, which is good news for Secretary Clinton.
North Carolina, Hillary Clinton has a lead there in North Carolina as well. Half the vote in North Carolina is now in, John. And,
right. As I pull it out, I just want to tell our viewers as we go through the night like this, when you see me go to the national map, because it's shaded doesn't mean it's over there. That's leading. On this map, it's live data feed. So you'll see states switch back and forth. Just a moment ago, Hillary Clinton was leading in Alabama.
51% of the vote in North Carolina. Now she has a lead, 51.9% to 45.7% in North Carolina.
And so now you start looking, when you get above the halfway mark, then you start looking at your major population centers, how much of the vote is in. Is it tracking throughout the night repeatedly? We hadn't had any votes in Durham earlier. Again, now we have some Durham votes, but the percentage, this is an early drop of votes in from Durham County, 85%. Remember, 76% for the president 4 years ago. If that percentage holds up, that's what Secretary Clinton needs in a state that is one of the ultimate tug-of-war states in American politics. I want to come back over to Wake County, 9+% of the state population, 2/3 of the vote in there. She's getting close to 60% of the vote to 37%. Again, you match it up to try to do the math compared to 4 years ago, where this was such a close state, carried by Governor Romney 4 years ago. Secretary Clinton's doing what she needs to do here. So you're looking for Donald Trump, and you're saying, where can he pull up the vote? Let's go back and look at the Romney win. And you see all this red down here, right? So Donald Trump needs to run it up along the coast all the way down. Let's go back in it here. Mitt Romney carried here, New Hanover County, 2% of the state population. This is where Melania Trump introduced Donald Trump the other day. He had an airport rally here. Smart campaigns know where you got to win, but at the moment, the tiniest of margins. But if this county stays blue, that's a sign the Clinton campaign is not only holding the Democratic areas, but encroaching and taking a few votes. And again, this is what the big vote swing came here in Mecklenburg County. She's at 66%, but we still have that's a low vote total for what's almost 10% of the state population. So we still have more votes to come here. So if you're the Clinton campaign at 53%,
but in the 4 states that have governor's races, in the last poll, we were ahead of those Republican gubernatorial candidates. So we like to think that we're helping some of those as well.
All right, Kellyanne, great to have you on. Thanks very much for joining us. Good to talk to you. Katie Tur is at Trump headquarters here in New York. Katie, what do you have?
You know, Lester, I just spoke with the GOP source in Ohio, a high-level source who tells me that they believe it is going to go down to the wire in Ohio. But they do have a bit of good news. They believe that Donald Trump didn't come in with such a deficit in the way that Romney did in early voting, and they believe that he could potentially make some good numbers up in 2 counties, in West Ohio and in Mahoning County. The Clinton team, on the other hand, is also feeling quite good about that state. It's a state, remember, that Donald Trump visited 26 times. It's a state that he was leading with many of the polls. It's a state that they started to feel very confident in. But now the Clinton campaign is saying that they are feeling pretty confident as well. They're optimistic. They're saying that no one wins in Ohio without putting in the work, without a ground game. Now, I spoke to my GOP source and asked them what sort of ground game did Donald Trump have in addition to the RNC. You remember the Trump campaign had been heavily relying on the RNC's ground game effort, and that source said, I have no idea. Again, this is a race that is very, very, very close, and that GOP source believes that it could go so late into the night that potentially they won't be able to make a call tonight, maybe well into tomorrow as well. Lester.
All right, and right now we have it down as too close to call. Katie Tur, thanks very much. Hugh Hewitt, talk about, if you can, Republicans coming home. You were one of them. Yeah. A few weeks ago, you were calling for Donald Trump to leave the race. What transpired down there?
Well, he didn't. I wanted to withdraw, and I think Mike Pence would have won easily tonight, but he didn't, so I voted for him, and he's run I'm actually kind of amazed to sit here and see Donald Trump racking up states on the Electoral College map that go down in history. I never thought he had a prayer of getting the nomination. I never thought we would be talking about that tonight. He changed the issue set in the race, but he is running behind senators, and I want to go back to that. It's significant where there are, Portman is a lot ahead of him in Ohio, and Rubio is calm, and he put Florida away, and Todd Young is probably doing better in Indiana. Mike
in 2012.
If Dr. Joe Heck gets the same bump over Donald Trump in Nevada that Rubio got over Donald Trump, Joe Heck could be the next senator, Dr. General Joe Heck in Nevada.
I'm just going to say, interestingly enough, Rob Portman thought...
The Democrats have made up a lot of ground here in recent years. This is just early vote because we don't have a percentage right there. So we'll wait and see if this one stays like that. But if Hamilton County's blue at the end of the night in a presidential race, it's usually good for the Democrats as well. One of the questions was, would Donald Trump cut into the Democratic support in places like Akron? We just associate that blue-collar workers and look at the margin right there.
I want to go to Florida right now because what? 85% of the vote in Florida is in, look at this, 3,876,000.
Whoa, what the fuck is...
Only, what, about 15 or 16,000 votes separate these two candidates in Florida with 85% of the vote in. Her lead, once again, has shrunk.
And again, what filled in? Some more areas up here filled in. But last time we were here, we had a big opening up here. Now we have a smaller opening up here. And you get...
Just changed again. It's only 11,000 vote lead just now. It changed.
Math on your feet. I like this. We have a living abacus right here as we go through. But as you watch it fill in, it gets important to start going up to these counties and say, you know, we don't have a lot of vote here still. So there's votes to be made up for Donald Trump as you do this. And as you go through, that's what I mean about this. You're seeing a live data feed into the wall, so it will change as we're talking sometimes. Trump is doing what he needs to do in the rural areas.
All right, take a look at Florida, because all of a sudden, take a look at Florida right now. You see with 85% of the vote in, Hillary Clinton is now in second place. Donald Trump has taken the lead in Florida. He's got 3,900,000, 3,900,029. Look at how close it is. Look at how 700 votes or so separate these two candidates. Donald Trump, all of a sudden, has taken the lead in Florida.
740 votes there. You remember a campaign long ago, 537 votes.
That would be 2,000.
That's what Florida is. I mean, Florida and North Carolina are these two states that are just 50-50 battleground states, and why we're going to have to count deep into the night. 86% right now. So you start asking yourself, what am I missing? And significantly, remember last time I went to Pinellas County here, Hillary Clinton was leading. Donald Trump has pulled ahead. Now you think 48.3, 47.9, does that make a difference? Well, it sure does when the margin in the state is inside of 1,000 votes. Winning a county like this where you have a population center, it sure does. And so you have a tug of war here. This is interesting because earlier today, a Democrat who was organizing down here said they got out on their early vote. They felt very encouraged, but then they saw the lines at the polls.
Trump right now is 918 votes ahead. 918 votes. Almost 8 million people have already, their ballots have been counted, and he's got a lead of just under 1,000 votes.
86%. So we're going to look here. Let's go down again. I just want to go down and look Collier County, 92%. This is where you start looking when the race is this close. What are we missing? So you're missing 8% here, but they're getting there, right? So you got most of the vote counted there. So then you come over here and you get 80% here. So if this margin...
Take a look at this. We'll just change it. She has now taken the lead once again. Hillary Clinton is now in the lead. It's going to update in a second. We're watching this very closely. You can see right there. Hillary Clinton is the lead. She's got 3,972, 3,968, 4,000 vote lead.
And that's, look, we're going to rock and roll with this for a while here, so let's go through. Here's an encouraging sign for Secretary Clinton. You say she just pulled into the lead. We've had a seesaw in the 2 or 3 minutes we've been having this conversation here. We may have another one as we have.
3,000 votes.
But there are votes, only 25% of the vote in Palm Beach County. She's winning 60-40, 59-39 there. So if you're the Clinton campaign, you're watching this seesaw, you know there's a lot of votes missing from here. Let's go down to Broward County. We don't have the percentages here yet, so that tells me this is early vote, and we're not getting live votes yet. We'll see. We'll get some more votes, and that percentage will jump up very quickly. Doesn't mean 0%, obviously. It just means when they dump in the early votes, they don't give us a percentage. Miami-Dade up to 80%. So there's more votes here. She's winning big.
She's 1,600 votes ahead right now.
Reasonable to expect she'll get more votes out of here. The challenge for Donald Trump is, in the areas that are red, what's missing? This is an interesting one for me. I've been watching this all night because Duval County, this is where Donald Trump had a rally the other day. The President of the United States came in after him. Duval County is a Republican area. Trump is up right now, 49-47. But when President Obama won narrowly 4 years ago, he lost this county by 3 points. Sometimes it's about the margins. You see the blue and the red, you think Democrat, Republican, but the margins within these large counties can make a big difference. And President Obama came within 3 points in Duval County. They were happy with that 4 years ago because they knew they were going to get the votes in Miami-Dade and the others. So if Hillary Clinton is this close in Duval County, that's actually, she can lose this. If she's losing this county by that, she's fine with that. The question is, can she keep the margin from getting any bigger? And that's the math you start to get into when you get up to 87% like this, and you are in a seesaw for less than 1,000 votes there.
Stand by. We're watching Florida, North Carolina, Ohio, other battleground states. Throughout this election night in America, we're going to show you the results in a very unique way on one of the world's most famous landmarks, the Empire State Building in New York City. Take a look at our running tally, the electoral vote built with CA Technologies. Right now, Hillary Clinton has 68 of the 270 electoral votes needed to win the White House. Donald Trump has 48. This night is all about your vote. You're looking at pictures from many of the millions of Americans who already have made their choice for president. They posted these photos on Instagram with the hashtag #MyVote. Right now, we're coming down to the next round of poll closings, including results from New York, the home base of both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. We'll have much more results right after the break.
Election Night in America is brought to you by CA Technologies. Business rewritten by software. This year, people have expressed their opinions by sharing a photo using the hashtag #MyVote. See more on the CNN Politics app, built with CA Technologies.
Back in the good old days, things were just better.
Those old rules don't work for me.
We valued hard work.
I don't believe anyone telling me how I should live my life.
Skinny caramel macchiato.
Back then, technology was a self-cleaning oven.
I like things the way they were. Except my abs.
I do, however, believe in a world with really great abs.
Hey, Earl. Hey, Dave. See my post?
Yeah.
It's funny, in the application economy, there's one thing everyone agrees on.
Let me talk to you about retirement.
401k is the most sound way to go.
Let's talk asset allocation.
Sure.
You seem knowledgeable, professional.
Would you trust me as your financial advisor?
I would.
I would indeed.
Well, let's be clear here. I'm actually a DJ.
No way.
I have no financial experience at all.
That really is you.
If they're not a CFP pro, you just don't know. Find a certified financial planner professional who's thoroughly vetted at letsmakeaplan.org. CFP. Work with the highest standards.
Oh, Mr. Hands! Can cops still fight crime while under the lens?
This is our third eye.
Computer police. Things you see on TV. It's half the story.
This is life.
New episode, Sunday night at 10 on CNN.
If you have people who depend on you, you need life insurance. Plain and simple. That's why Haven Life offers ample, affordable, plain language term life insurance that can be purchased entirely online in minutes. All without the need for a medical exam for qualified, healthy applicants. See how easy life insurance can be. Apply now and get an instant decision at havenlife.com.
There's a smarter choice.
Here for the smarter choice? My razors will get you a high-quality shave at a very economical price.
Cool.
Nope, can't have this one. It's display. Get your first month of razors free at DollarShaveClub.com.
Anthony Bourdain, Parts Unknown. New episode Sundays at 9 on CNN.
Here's another check of the electoral vote count so far. It's lighting up the Empire State Building right in the heart of New York City. Hillary Clinton right now with 68 electoral votes of the 270 needed to win. Donald Trump with 48. We're counting down to another poll closing and another chance to make a projection in the presidential race. Right now, here's a key race alert. All right, take a look here at Florida. We'll start with Florida. 88% of the vote is in. Look at how close it is.
Oh my fucking God!
To 48.4%. Donald Trump has now taken the lead. Donald Trump is ahead of Hillary Clinton by 8,071 votes. 29 electoral votes are at stake. In Florida, 88% of the vote is in. Donald Trump has now taken an 8,000 plus vote lead. In North Carolina, more than half of the vote is in. Hillary Clinton maintains a steady lead of nearly 150,000 votes over Donald Trump, 51.7% to 45.8%. 15 electoral votes at stake in North Carolina. In Ohio, almost a third of the vote is in. Hillary Clinton maintains her lead of about 120,000 votes over Donald Trump. 18 electoral votes are at stake in Ohio right now. Let's take a look at the electoral map count as we know it right now. Take a look at this. You see Hillary Clinton with 68 electoral votes to Donald Trump's 48, you need 270 to win the White House. Remember, the blue states, those are states we projected that Hillary Clinton will win. The red states, those are states we projected Donald Trump will win. You see all those yellow states over there? Those are states where it's too early to call. We have not yet been able to make a projection in those states. And you see all of those states, including Florida, where Donald Trump has just pulled ahead. Let's go and show the votes right now. Look at this. Florida, 88% of the vote is in. Donald Trump's lead has grown almost 14,000 over Hillary Clinton, 48.6% to 48.4%. Donald Trump has a slight lead over Hillary Clinton in Florida. And John, 88% of the vote is in, 12% outstanding. So this is a significant number right now.
And we're again, this is going to be Cecil.
It's a nail biter.
Hang out for a while. Bruce of Espresso. Just as we were earlier when you moved over there for a little bit, I was just going around and looking. And part of this is because Donald Trump started running up here in these counties, and there's still a lot of votes to be counted. These are the quick early vote deposits coming in, and Donald Trump running up by big margins up here in the conservative part of the state, which is exactly what he needs to do. Down here in the southwest corner of the state is Republican territory, 76% of the vote, and that's one of the things you start to get into when you get close to 88, 90% statewide. You're going county by county and saying what's left for Donald Trump to get and what's left for Hillary Clinton to get. Lee County just went to 100% as we were having this conversation. So it's a place where he's running up the score, but there's nothing more. And so that's when you get trying to get from 88 to 100, now we're at 89%. If you're in the Clinton campaign, you're down a little bit right now, but here's what's encouraging to you. If you look at Palm Beach County, she's running it up quite big right here, and they still have 75% of the vote.
25% of the vote is in.
Right, so if the margin stays anything like that, there's a lot more math to be added in the Hillary Clinton column. Move down to Broward County, as we come in here in the middle, we still post a 0 here. It's obviously not 0. We have a lot of votes in here. You get the early vote count released, and only when they start counting the live votes do we get a sense of what the percentage is. So we don't know. We assume there are more votes here, but we don't know the answer to that question in Broward County. Miami-Dade, they're almost done, but there's 20% more in a major population center. So that's a big chunk of votes. If that margin stays the same, there's 20%
those three counties alone, those three counties, Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County, they have what, more than 30% of the population of the entire state.
That's right. You just go through right here and look. 7% in Palm Beach County, almost 10%, 9% there, so you're up to 16 plus. Miami-Dade 13 plus, so there you go. You're about 20%, 30% right there as you go. And they're big Democratic areas, and again, there's still some votes up. So you start looking at other areas. I looked up here a little bit. Discouraged in terms of Clinton has what she's going to get out of Orange County up here, 97% of the vote counted there. So if you go through matching up these counties, what's left to count, you come in here.
Stand by for a second. I want to quickly go to Dana. You've got two major projections in the balance of power in the U.S. Senate.
That's right. Well, the first Democratic pickup in the Senate of the evening. You see there Tammy Duckworth, the Democratic challenger. CNN can project that she will beat the incumbent Republican Mark Kirk. This is a seat that Republicans, frankly, gave up on a while ago. They knew that Tammy Duckworth, especially in a presidential year in a blue state, CNN can project that that has happened. Now let's go to the state of Florida. Very close in the presidential level, but on the Senate level, CNN can project will go on to win another term in the U.S. Senate, defeating his Democratic challenger, Patrick Murphy. This was not a seat that Rubio wanted. He said he was going to retire until a lot of bigwigs came in and convinced him to reconsider. He did, and now he looks like he will go on to win re-election. Now let's look at some other pickups for, other wins that CNN can project this evening. Richard Blumenthal, the incumbent Democrat in Connecticut, CNN can project that he will win another term, defeating his Republican challenger, Dan Carter. Now in the state of Maryland, CNN can project that Chris Van Hollen will will beat his Republican challenger, Kathy Schlega. This was an open Democratic seat, so it stays in the blue column. Then in Oklahoma, James Lankford, the incumbent Republican, CNN can project there he will win re-election, defeating his Democratic challenger, Mike Workman. Now let's look at some of the key races that we're watching that will determine the balance of power. In New Hampshire, the polls have closed there within the last hour. The Democratic challenger right now is ahead of the incumbent Republican, Maggie Hassan, just a little under 6,000 votes ahead of Kelly Ayotte, but not very many votes in, so we're going to be watching that closely. And then also North Carolina. Deborah Ross is the Democratic challenger. She has a significant lead right now against the incumbent Republican Richard Burr. she is hoping to unseat him, and Democrats are hoping that will be another one in their column in their quest to take back the Senate. Now let's look at what all of this means, Jake, for the balance of power. At this hour, you see there on the big board, Democrats have 40 seats, Republicans have 35, 25 left to call, but the big news during this hour is the fact that Democrats have their very first pickup in the state of Illinois. So what that means is they would need 4 more pickups, holding all the rest, in order to become the majority again in the U.S. Senate.
This was the one that we knew the Democrats would get in Illinois, and then we also suspected that Rubio in Florida and Portman in Ohio would be able to hold on to their seats. Now we look at the real races and find out what happens in these ones that we have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah, but it could be very, very close in some of those key battleground states. We're going to see what happens. As you point out, the Democrats need a net gain of 5. Unless they win the White House, then they need a net gain of 4. We have a key race alert right now. All right, let's show you what's going on in Florida right now. 29 electoral votes are at stake. 91% of the vote is in, and Donald Trump is building up a sort of impressive lead, 63,297 votes. Donald Trump has a lead over Hillary Clinton in Florida with 91% of the vote in, 48.8% to 48.1%. 56% of the vote in North Carolina is in.
What the fuck?
Clinton has an impressive lead of 131,000 over Donald Trump. 15 electoral votes at stake in North Carolina. In Ohio, 31% of the vote is in. Hillary Clinton has a lead of almost 100,000 votes over Donald Trump in Ohio. 18 electoral votes at stake in Ohio right now. We've got more. In Virginia, 45%, almost half of the vote is in. Donald Trump has an impressive lead over Hillary Clinton. In Virginia, 130,000 vote lead. In fact, over Hillary Clinton, 13 electoral votes are at stake in Virginia. More numbers coming in, more results coming in. 9% of the vote in Georgia is in. Donald Trump has an impressive lead of 169,000 plus over Hillary Clinton. In New Hampshire, only 7% of the vote is in, but Hillary Clinton's lead is 5,700 over Donald Trump, 53% to 41.8%. Michigan, they're going to be closing the polls, but we've got some numbers so far. Hillary Clinton has a 20,000 vote lead over Donald Trump. 6% of the vote is in Michigan, and in Texas, they'll be closing the polls soon, but 46% of the vote has been released. Hillary Clinton, look at this, has a 56,000 vote lead over Donald Trump with almost half of the vote in Texas right now. And there you see, right now. We have more projections to make right now. 2 more wins for Donald Trump. CNN projects Donald Trump will win the state of South Carolina with its 9 electoral votes. Another win for Donald Trump in South Carolina. Donald Trump will also win Alabama with its 9 electoral votes. Donald Trump the winner in Alabama and South Carolina. 2 important wins for Donald Trump. We have a key race alert right now. The polls in Arkansas have just closed. Too early to call in the state of Arkansas, Bill Clinton's home state. Hillary Clinton was the first lady of Arkansas. Too early to call in Arkansas. 6 electoral votes right now. Let's take a look at the Electoral College map. See where it stands right now with these latest wins. Look at how close it is. 68 electoral votes for Hillary Clinton, 66 for Donald Trump. You need 270 to win the White House. Let me remind you, the red states we projected Donald Trump will win. The blue states we projected Hillary Clinton will win. The yellow states, too early to call. No projection yet in those states. Jake, this is a nail-biter in several of these states. It's been going back and forth, up and down.
Florida, especially Donald Trump with something like a 60,000 vote lead right now, but there are still lots of outstanding votes in Broward County and in Palm Beach County, the southeastern part of Florida, where there are a lot of Democratic votes, and still it's as we always said, this was going to be a very tight race in some of these states, and in Florida, really I have no idea what's going to happen. Republicans and Democrats still anticipate Hillary Clinton could edge it out, but at the end of the day, who knows?
And again, Donald Trump really needs to win Florida if he's going to have a major shot. He can do it in other ways, but Florida is so important.
That's right. Look, it's important for him just emotionally and symbolically because he feels that it is a second home because of Mar-a-Lago and other places that he has there, but also, much more importantly, mathematically. It is very, very hard for him to get the keys to the White House without going through Florida first. And as you said, the counties that are out do seem to be more Democratic than the ones that we already have in that shows Donald Trump slightly ahead. But I have to say, I was just communicating with some Republicans saying, well, you can't say we didn't get our vote out.
Right.
Because it certainly looks like they did.
Yeah. Although we should point out again, we've already called Florida for Marco Rubio.
Exactly.
I mean, so
the Senate candidate
there. So he was running significantly ahead of Donald Trump, and it's interesting. One of the subtexts of this night is how did Republican Senate candidates deal with Donald Trump? Mark Kirk in Illinois, he announced he was the first Republican in the Senate to say he was not going to endorse Donald Trump. I think he said he was going to write in General McChrystal. He got decimated in that very blue state. Marco Rubio tried to keep him arm's length, but he did say he was going to vote for Donald Trump, and he tried to challenge his Democratic opponent. Do you think Hillary Clinton is trustworthy? Do you support her? And apparently his argument won the day.
And can I just point out one bit of irony? Marco Rubio's presidential race ended because Donald Trump trounced him in Florida during the presidential primary. And now here we have Marco Rubio being convinced to run for re-election. We project that he's winning, and Donald Trump is fighting for the broader electorate.
Originally said he wasn't going to run for re-election. He decided to run for re-election.
4 months ago.
John, let's take a look at the state of Florida right now, because Hillary Clinton was ahead, Donald Trump was ahead. They're going back and forth. There's still votes outstanding. But take a look at this. 91% of the vote has now been counted. I must say I'm impressed that Florida counts its vote so quickly. Almost 10 million, 9 million votes. Look at this. Look at this. 48.9%, 48.1%. Look at the small lead over there for Donald Trump over Hillary Clinton. He's ahead by only what 77,000 votes. That's a significant number.
That's a significant number. And then again, as I said earlier, we're going to keep looking. I was just emailing when you were walking over with some Democrats and Republicans in Florida, asking them what they know on the ground, and they're where we are now. They're just counting votes. Except, you start going through this, when you get up this far, you start saying what's missing, and you still have half of the votes in Palm Beach County to come in, and Hillary Clinton has a big healthy lead there. There's no guarantee, zero guarantee, she keeps that spread. But if she keeps anything like that spread, she's almost 90,000 votes up there. If the other half comes in, then she'll pick up. If she picks up somewhere in the ballpark of 80,000 votes when the other half comes in, that's significant given how close this race is. So one of the most significant issues in Florida now, as we get up to 91% statewide, and I'm going to keep checking it because it can change on the fly as we go through this, is what's missing. There's a lot of votes missing in that Democratic stronghold, a lot of votes missing here. We don't have the exact number yet. Broward County turnout, we are told, expected to be up from 2012. These are the early votes, and there's always one county in any state that's a little slow to count. We'll wait to see if we get more votes.
Bodes well for Hillary Clinton.
The expectation is, we don't have the exact percentage, but the expectation is she's winning big, and unless there's a dramatic change in the results, she's going to get more votes there. When we come down to Miami-Dade, they're almost done here, but in a big, populous county like this, 9% or 10% of the vote can make a difference. So if you're looking at the map right now, you're trying to think, are there places on this map where Donald Trump can make up what's still to come? And again, he's ahead by a very slight margin at the moment. There's every reason to expect Hillary Clinton will make up that margin and more down here. And so then the question is, where do you look for Donald Trump? So let's just go through. I'm picking these counties randomly. Well, here's one. Only at 32% of the vote. Again, it's not a lot of votes. It's less populated, but that's the key in these states. In just about every state we're going to go through in these battleground states, you see a lot of red. Those are smaller rural counties. So the question is, how many can you get? They're at 100% here, Citrus County. That's bad for Donald Trump. You come over here, they're only at 32% in Marion County, so there are more votes to get. Are there enough? Are there enough of these rural counties? This one's at 100%. You come through here, they're at 96%. You move up here at 97%. So after a while, you start to think if most of these counties, let's just keep picking them randomly to see, 100% and 45%. So in some of these counties, very small, the question is, when you're getting 100 votes here, 500 votes here, 700 votes there, can you make up for this? And that's always the challenge for Republicans in a state like Florida, because when you get down here, I just want to come back to Miami-Dade and check it, this is where you're talking about tens of thousands of votes. When the percentage number moves up, you're talking about tens of thousands of votes, not hundreds of votes. And so if you're looking at this map right now at 91%, you're crossing them a little bit in the Clinton campaign, but you think you get enough down here still in the bank to get you over the finish line, but that's by no means guaranteed, because we're going to have to go through all these small rural counties.
He's 84,000 votes ahead right now.
Right.
But as we point out, those Democratic counties in the South, there's still a lot of votes outstanding.
You could get those right here. You could get those right here in Palm Beach County. The combination of Palm Beach, Broward, and what's left in Miami-Dade to be counted is more than enough. The question is what else is still out there. And again, when you start to pick, this is a large Republican, 22% of the state population, but it's all Republican. Donald Trump's winning it big, but it's 95% in. You come over here, Lee County, here's a place where Donald Trump could do some business.
Hey, let's go to North Carolina and Virginia. Virginia. Donald Trump, by the way, in Virginia, Donald Trump is ahead. Let's go to Virginia first.
All right, you look at Virginia. I've been watching this one repeatedly because Donald Trump is ahead. And just a cautionary note, again, this is more competitive than we thought Virginia was going to be, at least than a lot of people thought Virginia was going to be. So here's the big issue. Donald Trump is doing exactly what he needs to do out here. These are your smaller rural areas. You pick on these counties, 68%, 69%, 79%. Donald Trump's doing exactly what he needs to do out in rural. But the problem for the issue is what's here. Only 50% in Loudoun County. Secretary Clinton running it up. This is where your population center is, coming closer to Washington, D.C. Only 27% of the vote counted in Fairfax County. Again, look at the margin there. Go into Fairfax City and pull that out. Only 43% of the vote counted there. That's a very low number there. So we're waiting for a lot more votes out of Fairfax. Want to move over here. You come down here to some of these swing counties that you look at. Hillary Clinton, this is a comeback for Donald Trump. When we looked earlier tonight, and we're only at 16% in Prince William County. He was way down in Prince William County when we were in the single digits. This is a comeback of sorts there to show this will be the challenge. If Donald Trump can stay that competitive in these outer suburbs, then he has a chance. If you get into places just across the bridge, in Arlington, Virginia, where you find the Pentagon, this is what you expect, 2/3 of the vote. So there's more votes for Hillary Clinton to come out of here. The question is, can Donald Trump stay more competitive in the outer suburbs and then run it up in these rural areas? But again, let's just check down here in the Norfolk area and see what we have here. Chesapeake County, 61% there. Portsmouth here, 41%. In these Democratic areas down here, well, still some votes to be counted. So Donald Trump is ahead. That's encouraging, but we still got some business to do in Virginia.
North Carolina, Hillary Clinton is ahead in North Carolina right now. She's ahead by about 80,000 votes, more than 80,000 votes. 85,000 votes.
85,000 votes, and they're coming out of the big areas where she needed to get them. Mecklenburg County, just shy of 10% of the state population. That's a big margin, and we still have more votes to get here. Again, when you go into these states now, statewide, we're only 59%. And so we still know, because we have a 0 there, that means this is an early vote dump, and we're waiting for more votes to come in. We still have more to get out of Mecklenburg County. Then you move over here, Wake County, again, it used to be the back and forth swing county in the state. It's a Democratic county now, but the Democrats need to win it big. She's winning it big. That's
100,000 votes.
That's what she needs to do. And here, again, and this is where we're waiting, because the polls weren't kept open, but they should be closing now in that area, Durham County, right in this ballpark. So again, you look at this, and the question is, where does Donald Trump get, where can he get his votes? In these places where he's winning, let's just look, Brunswick County. Again, it's a small area, but you want to compare it. He's running even with where Governor Romney ran. Romney was at 60% here. Donald Trump's just shy of that. So as you watch this pull out, it tells you that performance-wise, and we're seeing this in a lot of states, performance-wise in this race, it looks a lot like 2012. Now, obviously President Obama won in 2012. In this state, Mitt Romney won. And so we're going to watch this. We still have, you see the light, the gray, those are mostly Trump votes. You can be pretty sure that in these rural areas, this one, between Democratic counties here, Democrat might win this one, but if you come through and you look back in time, most of these rural areas, up here, they're Democratic, down here, and out to the west, they tend to be Republican. So if you're looking at the map right now, a little bit more probably to be gained for Secretary Clinton up here. Trump has to run it up here. And then the population centers, we haven't looked at Winston-Salem all night. Again, we have a 0. This means this is early votes to come in. So if you're the Clinton campaign, you're looking at the map, you still have some, in these population centers.
You know that 59% of the vote is in, so there's still lots of votes out there. Let's go to Ohio right now. Hillary Clinton is ahead in Ohio. No Republican has ever won the White House without Ohio.
Right, and a quick footnote again as we go through this if you're just joining us. These are states we're still counting the votes in. This one here, I just want to show you. We don't think Hillary Clinton's going to win Mississippi tonight. If she does, that would be a stunner, but these are live data feeds, so it's 1 or 2 precincts, 1 or 2 counties coming in. So bear with us as we go through the night. You want to go to Ohio right there, 49 to 46. Again, if you're the Clinton campaign, you're encouraged. The map is filling out. I just want to show you. This is
third of the vote is in.
Right. So look at the map. Remember, it's mostly red. Remember where the blues are? It's pretty typical. A little more red up here for Donald Trump so far up here. If you look up along the northern part.
She's ahead now by 50,000.
But she's ahead by 50,000 votes, and so the question is, this is your biggest vote center, Cuyahoga County, where Cleveland is. 32% of the vote. She's running it up pretty big. It's a reasonable expectation. There's more in the bank here for Secretary Clinton. So then you want to pull out and you say, here's the issue. It's a lot of red, right? They're smaller, but this is only 24% of the vote. Only 17% of the vote. Only 18% of the vote. 60% of the vote here, but still some more votes to come in to Trump. So Trump is winning all this red, and if you're Donald Trump, be patient. Republicans should not give up on Ohio. There's a lot of places here that have not counted the votes. And again, you're talking, it's not as big a margin, but if it's 2,000 here, 2,000 here, 1,000 or so here. Over time, you can make it up. So there's still a lot to be counted in Ohio. We're up to a third of the vote, but if you look what you're looking for in the Republican areas, you're getting to 100%. Then if you're the Trump campaign, you start to get worried. We have a lot of counting to do still in Ohio. She's ahead at the moment, but there's a lot of business to be done. As you see, but most of these counties are still in the 20s and the 30% wise.
Let's go back to North Carolina, because Hillary Clinton's lead in North Carolina, a critically important state, has just narrowed to about 66,000 votes, with 61% of the vote in.
66,000 votes, and so you're seeing what's happening. I just want to go out here to the Democratic area, which is getting 57%. You start to watch and see where Donald Trump is starting to pull in. He's got votes to be counted out here too. 33% of the vote here. He's pulling pretty healthy margins in the smaller rural areas, and there's still votes to be counted. So as these counties come in, he's coming back. I just want to keep checking here because it's the big population starts to see if it's getting any closer. We're still waiting for more votes out of Mecklenburg County. And the question is, you have the early vote that comes in. The Democrats, in a lot of places, the Democrats feel very happy with their early vote turnout. Sometimes, when you get the day of voting, the Republicans will stage it. Even in a Democratic area, the Republicans will get closer because of the traditionalistic turnout on Election Day. So we need to be careful when we look at these big places where we still have votes to be counted. But here in Wake County, we're now up to 88%. And so this is, to the same point, in a very competitive state. The Clinton campaign can count on some more out of Wake County, but they're starting to, this is where you run your models. You've got 12% left. Is it enough to offset elsewhere? Durham County's now up to 12%. This is an area where she needs that. They see the 85%, not only the 85%, but the gap, 22,000 votes right there. In your computer models of this race, you need 85% big turnout in Durham. Let's just pull out for a second. Very close. We're going to be here a while.
All right, we got another check of the electoral vote count on the Empire State Building right now. Hillary Clinton now with 68 electoral votes of the 270 needed to win. Donald Trump not far behind with 66 electoral votes. We're just minutes away from another big round of poll closings in 14 states, including delegate-rich New York State. That's the home to both of the presidential nominees. New Yorkers, by the way, they're watching the results on CNN. They're at a rooftop watch party down the street from the Empire State Building. Our election coverage continues right after this.
Tomorrow's the day we'll play something besides video games.
Every day is a gift, especially for people with heart failure. But today, there's Entresto, a breakthrough medicine that can help make more tomorrows possible.
Tomorrow, I want to see Teddy make his first hoop.
In the largest heart failure study ever, Entresto was proven to help more people stay alive and out of the hospital than leading heart failure medicine. Women who are pregnant must not take Entresto. It can cause harm or death to an unborn baby. Don't take Entresto with an ACE inhibitor or allospirin. If you've had angioedema while taking an ACE or ARB medicine, don't take Entresto. The most serious side effects are angioedema, low blood pressure, kidney problems, or high potassium in your blood.
Tomorrow, I'm gonna step out with my favorite girl.
Ask your heart doctor about Entresto and help make the gift of tomorrow possible.
What you doing in there with that woman?
I'm his wife.
That's no good here. This November, don't miss the film critics are calling the best movie of the year.
We may lose a small band, but win the big war.
Love Egg, based on a true story, rated PG-13.
So nice to meet you. Give it time.
Good Behavior premieres next Tuesday at 9 on TNT.
There's a smarter choice.
Here for the smarter choice. My razors will get you a high-quality shave at a very economical price.
Cool.
Nope, can't have this one. It's display. Get your first month of razors free at DollarShaveClub.com.
If you have people who depend on you, you need life insurance. Plain and simple. That's why Haven Life offers ample, affordable, plain language term life insurance that can be purchased entirely online in minutes, all without the need for a medical exam for qualified, healthy applicants. See how easy life insurance can be. Apply now and get an instant decision at havenlife.com.
This is CNN, the world's news network.
It's a close race to 270 electoral votes right now. You can see our running tally on the Empire State Building. Hillary Clinton now with 68 electoral votes. Donald Trump with 66. And just down the street from the world-famous landmark, New Yorkers are watching election results on CNN as we get ready for the polls to close in New York State. That's the home turf for both Clinton and Trump. We're getting new numbers coming in right now. Here's a key race alert. All right, Donald Trump is ahead in two important states in Florida and Virginia. In Florida right now, 91% of the vote has been counted. Donald Trump has a 110,000 vote lead over Hillary Clinton, 49.1% to 47.8%. 29 electoral votes are at stake in Florida. In Virginia, almost 60% of the vote is now in. Donald Trump is ahead by 128,000 votes over Hillary Clinton, 50% to 44.8%. 13 electoral votes in Virginia. Two important battleground states where Hillary Clinton is ahead. In Ohio, more than a third of the vote is in. Hillary Clinton has a lead of 36,500 votes over Donald Trump, 49% to 47.2%, 18 electoral votes in Ohio. And in North Carolina, 61% of the vote is in. Hillary Clinton's lead is 62,000 over Donald Trump. 15 electoral votes at stake in North Carolina. So she's at North Carolina and Ohio right now. Let's go over to Jake and Dana. We're watching Florida. Right now, let's say Florida, more than 90%, Jake, of the vote is now in.
Yeah, it's surprising how close it is, given the fact that both Democrats and Republicans in the state had thought that Hillary Clinton had like the slight edge. We're still waiting for a lot of outstanding vote in southeastern Florida, which is a Democratic stronghold, but he's up more than 100,000 votes as of right now, with 91% of the vote in.
Yeah, that's an impressive lead, but it can certainly come back depending on what happens in those heavily Democratic counties in the southeast.
That's right. And look, they not only spent money, but they also sent their most prized resources, the candidates themselves, over and over again. Just really quickly, our embeds with either candidate, Ashley Pillow and Dan Merica, says both of them, since the conventions, both of them have been there to Florida 25 times, holding 45 events in one state. I mean, that tells you everything you need to know about why this is so close.
Yeah, Anderson, this night is turning out to be a real nail-biter.
It is fascinating. It's going to be a long night indeed. Let's talk about the Glory Borger, David Axelrod. I mean, as you look at Florida, Donald Trump was the leader of some 100,000 votes. But again, we're talking about Miami-Dade County votes still to come in, Broward and Palm Beach.
They're about 800,000. I was just speaking with a Republican in the state. 800,000, a million votes still out. They believe, this Republican says, that her Democratic buddies are very worried about this state right now. And I think that you see the Latino turnout in the state was 18%. Barack Obama's, David pointed out to me, was 17%. So it's a little bit up, but it's not usually up, which is what we anticipated. African-American vote is up in the state, so that may balance it out.
David Axelrod, as you look at the numbers, what do you say?
Well, it's a slightly less, it is a slightly more minority turnout. And I think when you look at what's out, I think there's cause for optimism.
In terms of what votes have not been counted in those heavily leaning Democratic areas.
As John King points out, that is how you have to look at this. If there are some big pockets of support for her that are out, this is going to be close.
Assuming the votes that have not been counted in those leading Democratic areas continue to mirror the votes that have been counted in those areas,
then she would end up winning the state. But you know, so if I were sitting there and looking at this, I would say, let's count them, because if you're on the Democratic side, this thing could turn out.
But I mean, all along the Trump campaign has been saying that Florida's must win for them. And I mean,
they can't win without it. I mean, the fact of the matter is that 29 electoral votes, they have to have it. And they have to have other states as well that they've not been leading it in the polls. But this one, because of the size of it, they have to have. So this is really, this is going to tell a lot of the story of this race.
And I was texting with a Democrat in the state who was saying that Donald Trump did better in the exurbs, rural areas, and what this points to is this divide in this country.
Yeah.
In urban, rural, and you see it in the state of Florida.
You certainly do, Wolf.
Partisan, we're standing by for the second largest wave of poll closings. The battle between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump just minutes from now at 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll be watching 14 states, including key races in the battlegrounds of Arizona, Colorado, Wisconsin, and Michigan. The last polls are also closing in Kansas, Louisiana, Minnesota, Nebraska, New Mexico, New York, North Dakota, South Dakota, Texas, and Wyoming. 156